Rhino. We all know Rhino. He's appeared in like everything. Yet every time he's appeared, he's only portrayed one way and one way only. As a big dumb brute.
You're gonna need this.
I hate you so much.
And they're not necessarily wrong with that portrayal, but when the character is portrayed as a brute and a brute only, you miss out on all the nuance that makes him being a brute make sense and how it matters to his character. Rhino is a not-so-bright goon who Spider-Man dispatches of with little to mid difficulty, depending upon what show you're watching. But is that all? Is Rhino really that shallow? Is he a guy in a costume that makes him strong enough to take on Hulk and Thor? A guy whose brain is just a spilled carton of milk?
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
That's how every adaptation of Rhino would like you to look at him. Just a big, dumb, giant brute in a giant machine or a skin-grafted costume. Let me be fair, Rhino is a very big dude who is brute-ish and isn't very smart. Many adaptations get that down solid, so at the very least, the basis of the character is done right in most adaptations. Insomniac does a good job at this. The 90s animated cartoon does a good job at this. Ultimate Spider-Man game for sure does a great job at this. Look at this thing. This Rhino's scary as heck. He's a monster.
Hey, you! Is that a rhinoceros horn, or you just have to be? Let's see. I'm so scared I can't even finish my lame joke.
There is just so much more to Rhino than what these adaptations would have you believe. Rhino is much more than just a rhino who smashes stuff. We do love him for that, but Alexei was just a small-time robber who was thwarted by Spider-Man. In order to try and even the playing field, he volunteered to be a test subject for a new power, and he was grafted into a rhino skin, receiving immense amount of strength and power. Like I said, the dude was able to fight the Hulk. But it's more than just a guy who puts on a suit to get strong. The suit stuck to him. Forever. Forever, ever. Forever, ever, ever, ever. This is a tale of a horror and tragedy, not just a mindless brute. A man who was seemingly duped into being a pawn in someone else's experiment that caused lifelong consequences to him. He's trapped in the suit for damn near forever. How does he even use the bathroom? God, life like this is awful. I guarantee you he can't play Marvel vs. Capcom, and I know a life like that isn't worth living. I'm just gonna be honest. But seriously, Rhino experiences great tragedy like a real character or person would. He's not just stuck in a suit and he's like, word, this is my life now, I'm a rhino, cool. No, he's a very real character who wrestles and struggles with this problem. He doesn't want to be a super criminal. He hated Spider-Man for a long time, and they still have their beef, sure, but he tried to move on several times. And you just can't move on when you're a giant rhino. There's really not much else out there for you. Unlike many other villains who get dragged back into villainy because reasons, Rhino gets dragged back into villainy because there's no real life for him outside of being a villain. What is the use of a 2-ton rhino-sized person? The size of a small truck, actually. What job would you hire said person for? What would his profession be? Another reason he gets dragged back into villainy is because the woman he loved who helped change his life around was murdered. This character has very real reasons for regressing back into a villain, but he doesn't even want to be a villain most of the time. It's a very deep character. He's not just dumb brute. We're going to talk about two of the most defining stories for Rhino. The first one being Flowers for Rhino. He's got other great moments, do not get me wrong, but Flowers for Rhino is Spider-Man's version of the short story Flowers for Algernon. If you don't know what the story is about, it's about a man who takes some medication, it makes him smarter, and the whole story is written through like a journal. It's very cool. I read it when I was in school back in the day. I loved it personally. So whenever I see any adaptation that does Flowers for Algernon, I'm excited. Always Sunny, yours is a banger. Let me just give you credit right now. This ain't an Always Sunny channel, but Always Sunny's Flowers for Charlie is incredible. Anyways, back to the topic.
It completely conforms when you think about it.
Rhino is tired of being an idiot and being treated poorly, so he's offered a chance to make himself smarter. Not caring about the side effects and just wanting to finally be taken seriously, he takes him up on that offer. And it accomplishes its job. Rhino is indeed smarter, like much smarter. He has a girlfriend, an understanding for fine arts. He owned his own crime organization. He beat Spider-Man in a fight and then filed an injunction against him so Spider-Man can't come within a half mile of him. He actually was so smart, he developed an algorithm to deduce Spider-Man's true identity. The dude became a super genius, probably smarter than anyone in the Marvel Universe. His intelligence went too far, it just kept growing and growing and growing, and he began to dislike these very things that he was in love with. He no longer cared about his girlfriend or music or beating on Spider-Man. He actually no longer cared to even stay in this world, and he went to take his own life. until he realized, with his great intelligence, he can reverse the effects of the operation he had done to him. He lays down in the bed to get the operation redone, and he tells the doctor, make me just a bit more stupid than last time, just to make sure this doesn't happen. This story is phenomenal. It tackles the problem of Rhino being a low-life criminal who never gets to excel. Here he is excelling so far it's not even worth it to him. He's much more content being a bumbling fool than someone who runs the show. He's okay with not being the smartest person in the room. The book also shows his love and care for people. As the girl he won over, he did so by protecting her. Rhino is not just some big dumb brute who's going to kill and murder anybody in sight. He's an actual character. He's got actual layers to him. And you're in 625. Rhino actually gets the suit removed and he has moved on. The character found love in a woman named Oksana. She helped Rhino grow past and out of the crime world and into becoming a regular stand-up citizen. More insight into Rhino about how he has emotions and feeling and he loves. You don't even get emotion from him in most adaptations besides confused or angry. The story then goes on, a new Rhino has showed up and he wants to fight the old Rhino for the title. The OG Rhino, Alexis, is very willing to just give up the title. He doesn't care to be Rhino anymore. But Rhino 2 is out here trying to get Buck. He's saying he can't take the mantle without killing the original Rhino for it. The two agree to have a fight later, but Alexis, the original Rhino, says to Spider-Man that he would be a coward just for his wife, and he's lying and he would like to, be moved out of the city. So Spider-Man sets up a safe house for them to be able to escape to. On the way to the safe house, though, Rhino 2 shows up and he kills Oksana. Rhino immediately turns to Spider-Man saying he will never forgive him. He goes to where his suit's located, he dons the suit again, and murders Rhino 2. It's raw as hell. They have a Rhino charge, leaving Rhino 2 trapped in the suit. The OG Rhino charges at Rhino 2. Alexis says goodbye to Oksana, and he ends Rhino 2's life. The narrator reads, the new Rhino has died. Alexis Sitsevich has died. Long live the old Rhino. My God, what an incredible story. This man has motivation and reason to be doing what he's doing. He's not bad just to be bad. He tried to move on, and he lost everything he cared about in the process. The character is so much more than just a brute. Man, I would love and kill for any of these stories and themes to be told in an actual adaptation. You know it won't come from the games anytime soon, seeing as how Rhino's the only villain in both Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales Spider-Man, and he's freaking dead in Spider-Man 2. Which is such a letdown when you really think about it, because Rhino and Miles have a great frenemy dynamic in the comics. Imagine we got that in Insomniac? Nope. I mean, even before that, pretty much all the game appearances are just big, strong, brutish boss. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 tried to have Rhino with Paul Giamatti, but oh boy was that a whole can of booty butt cheeks. Even the Titans of Spider-Man cartoons, 90s animated and spectacular Spider-Man Rhino, don't even show this much about the character. He's kind of just a big dude in both of them. In the 90s animated series, he's from New Jersey. He's not even Russian. We don't even know his name. His name! It's better than all these representations give you credit for. One day it'll come, BB. I promise. Dunk out. Peace!